Welcome back everyone. So today we have a very interesting topic. Today we are going to see how we can create a ferrofluid inside of Maya. Now this will just give you a kind of a interesting Venom look or kind of a symbiote look, or if you have seen a kind of a ferrofluid looking videos, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. So this will just give you a symbiote, like a piece of symbiote has been taken out from its origin to test it out in a laboratory. So we'll see how we can create a ferrofluid effect, or you can say a symbiote effect, and we are going to be doing this completely procedurally. So let's get into it. So I'm going to take a simple cylinder as my container to start off with. So I'm going to bring this up. Let's increase the radius to about 2, and let's make the cap to 0. I'm going to make the height to probably about 1, and let's increase the subdivision to maybe like 50, and I'm gonna select this face and hit delete. I think the container is a bit too high, so I'm just gonna reduce the overall size here to something fairly low. Alright, so this looks pretty good to me. I'm going to hit extrude. Let's extrude this outside just so we have enough depth in our scene. Alright, so once you are done with this, select both the faces, hit extrude, and from here you can extrude this inside and just increase the subdivision levels to something like maybe 4 or 5, whatever suits you. Alright, so if you press 3 here, we have something like this. So let's fix this quickly. So I'm going to select all the edges here. I'm going to select this guy and this one, and I'm going to hit bevel, and I'm going to make the fraction to about something like maybe 0.1 and increase the segment to maybe 12. If you can't find the bevel, you can simply go to edit mesh, and there is the bevel. So you can go to select your mesh, both the edges, and from here you can also select your bevel from here, or you can also go to edit mesh and bevel. Now I'm going to make this again 0.1, and I think that should be good enough. So if I hit 3 on my keyboard, we have a perfect container. Alright, so let's get with the overall fluid effect. So I'm going to just align this right about here, and let's take a simple plane as our floor, and I'm going to make the subdivision to something like maybe 1 and 1, and let's turn off the grid. Alright, so we are good to go. I'm going to take a simple camera just so we have something set up here to look at, and I'm going to select my camera here, and let's hit something like this. I'm going to turn on my film gate just so I can see the overall film resolution here. So I think this look is good. I'm going to lock my camera, and we are all set up. So let's get on with the overall fluid here. So I'm going to take a simple disc here as my overall for the fluid effect. You can take anything, any primitive that you want. You can pretty much try this with any primitive. And in the poly disc, I'm going to increase the size to maybe something like a 6 and subdivision level to 6 as well. So I'm going to scale this up, go to top view, make sure you hit 4 to make sure you see this in wireframe, and you just have to touch the overall container. If you kind of intersect it, don't worry about it, it's not going to be an issue. But yeah, so I'm going to lower this down to right about there. Alright, so that looks good. So we are good to go. So I'm just going to go to my outliner and quickly rename this to fluid. This will be my floor, and this is my container. Alright, so we are good to go. Alright, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to right click on this, assign new material, and I'm going to assign a default material. I'm going to call this material, I don't know, maybe Venom, and let's make the weight to 1. So from here the work has been done. We have to go to Hypershade to carry on our work. And I'm going to go to my graph network. So right click on your shader here and go to graph network. Alright, so this is where all the magic happens. So I'm going to take something like a shader ball just so we can display what's going on. And for the first thing I'm going to take is a simple noise. And I'm going to take a simplex noise. And the reason we are choosing simplex noise, now here you get tons and tons of noises. You have AI noise for Arnold, and you have some native noise as well. But we are going to go with simplex noise. The reason is because in the noise type we get something called as a cellular, which gives you this kind of effect, which is exactly what we are going for. So I'm going to select this, and let's make the octave to 10, and octaves are basically the quality of your noise. So make sure if you have this option, make sure you turn it up just so you have a good quality noise. Now if I connect this to my out color, obviously we are not going to be using this as a color, but just for the demonstration purpose, just so you understand the concept, if I take something like maybe simple plane, you'll notice that it's all over the place. Instead, only what we want is only in the middle part. So what we are going to do is create a mask. So I'm going to take a simple ramp, and I'm going to take my RGB ramp here, and this will act as my mask here. So by default you get this kind of linear ramp. I'm going to switch to circular, Now right now the overall gradient is kind of in the wrong direction, so I'm going to invert this by simply clicking on this color A and dragging it on the negative direction, and I'm going to select my color B to the opposite direction as well. So instead of having this, we are just inverting this to something like this. So right now what you have is this kind of gradient, and now this will be our overall mask to control our overall effect. So I'm going to keep it to something like maybe something like this and just leave it there. Alright, so how do we combine this? We are going to take something called as a multiply. I'm going to select my multiply here and attach the color to the multiply node 1 and the second RGB ramp as my input of multiply 2. So right now I'm going to disconnect this quickly, and I'm going to select this and output this to the base color. And now you will see that we have this mask going around. Now if I go back, and as I said, this is a completely procedural method, we can control this through our ramp, how much fluid that we want to be affected on our geometry. So now you have a noise that is generating this pattern, and then you have your mask here, which is kind of creating a mask around your overall geometry, which is kind of restricting the overall noise to be, you can say, projected onto your geometry. So we have a multiply node that's driving both of these, and then we have our standard surface. So I'm going to close this and let's attach this to our displacement shader, because displacement is exactly what we want, not the color. So I'm going to disconnect this from the color and we are good to go. So I'm going to take a shader ball here and let's close this. Alright, so if I go to my IPR and let's see. Alright, so I have a basic HDR for the lighting purpose, nothing fancy. Alright, so first you'll look at this, you'll notice that it's not exactly looking how it's supposed to be, and there are a couple of reasons why. So the first thing that we have to do is I'm going to get into my camera. Alright, select this, select your fluid here and go to Arnold, and the first thing that you have to do is manage your overall height. Now right now your height has been set to something like 1, which is too much. So I'm going to keep this to something like 0.2. So as you can see, we have a little spikes going on, and in the bounce padding I'm gonna make the value to something like maybe a 1. So if I increase this from here, now you'll see we get much more better displacement. Now you can also turn on auto bump if you want. This will just recognize the overall bumps and kind of give you a better result, but it totally depends on you. Now the next thing that we have to do is adding more subdivision to our geometry. Now we can do that by simply going in our subdivision and adding a Cataclac. So this is a procedural method by instead of having a lot of geometry in your scene, in your viewport, instead what we can do is apply some more subdivision that will only be rendered in our overall IPR here. So that way your system doesn't slow you down. Alright, so the next thing that we have to do is I'm going to increase some more height, maybe like 0.8. And the one thing you'll notice is the effect is kind of a negative, not exactly how we wanted it. So to fix this, I'm going to go to my Venom here and go to our one level up. Go to multiply, and I think this is our noise, the input 1, and this is our ramp. So I'm going to go to my input 1, and this is our overall noise here. So I'm going to quickly close this and let's open up our hypersheet just so we can see everything a little better. So I'm going to disconnect this for now, and this is what we have. So right now what we have is an inverted overall fluid. So to fix this, I'm going to take another node, which will be a color correct node. Let's take our color correct here, and I'm going to attach this to the input of my color correct. Alright, so by hitting a simple invert, you can simply invert the whole effect. Now this is not refreshing at all, so you can just simply refresh from here, and this will just give you the... So IPR has some trouble sometimes rendering the overall result, so you can just simply refresh this to get the overall result. So before we had this, and now we have this exactly opposite effect. So now we can pretty much control this however we want it. I'm going to add a bit more contrast, just try to make this a little bit more darker to maybe something like this, and now we have much better looking fluid. So from your noise you can do a couple of things, like if you want to add a bit more distortion, you can add this, and if you want to animate this, what we are going to do is we are going to change the distortion ratio. Otherwise you can also go to your texture and you can choose the offset to move your fluids as well. Alright, so I'm going to go to my simplex noise here, and if you'll notice we have some parameters. You can change the threshold, how dark or how bright the overall effect should be, and this is how you can control it. So I think we are overall done with this. I'm going to attach this back to my multiply here, and let's go back to see how everything is looking. Alright, so there we go, we have a perfect fluid going on, and right now the overall effect is a bit too drastic. So I'm gonna select my fluid here and just go back, and make the height to something like 0.5. Alright, so now it's looking good. I'm gonna add a bit more specular into this, maybe change the roughness to something like 0 and add a bit of metalness. Alright, and I'm gonna add some coat as well. So I think this is overall looking pretty good, and let's change the overall. So right now what you'll see is we have a bit problem here. You can see the overall collision regarding the geometry, so we have to get rid of this, the overall corners here. So I'm going to go one level up. You can also go to your hypershade and you can simply select anything that you want, something like a ramp, and you can come back here and you'll have that node right here, which is not displaying right now for some reason. So I'm going to go to my multiply here and go to my ramp here. You can simply rename this just so it's easier for you to understand. And I'm going to add another point here. This will be a bit darker gray, and I'm just gonna move this a little bit towards the white side. So this is our black side, which is kind of erasing the overall effect, and white side is kind of giving us the fluid effect. So I'm gonna just simply go to my render and update the full scene. So as I said, IPR has some trouble updating the whole scene, and now as you can see we have fixed our overall problem here. So if you think the overall effect is a bit too drastic, you can do a couple of things. Either you can change the overall color of this to something like maybe a mid gray, or you can also go back, select your primitive here. I'm gonna pause this, go to fluid shape and make this something like maybe a 0.4, and now you have a less, you can say, spiky things going on. So this is how you can create a procedural looking fluid kind of thing. And if you want to animate, I'm going to animate this real quick. Before that, I'm just going to quickly shade this. So if you want to shade your container, it's really easy to do. You can just apply a simple stand surface and take a preset of a glass, and now you have a glass container, like a specimen sample has been taken or something like that. And make sure you turn off the opaque if you're using a glass. And for the plane, you can pretty much choose anything that you want. I'm gonna go with a simple stand surface with a bit of a gray color, I guess a bit more darker color, and I think the roughness value will be 0.2 is good. I'm gonna make this a bit more rougher. Alright, so this is what we have, and let's animate this. So I'm gonna select my fluid here, go to hypershade, and this is our texture overall. So I'm gonna close this because hypershade cannot update its overall scene here unless and until we update the overall hypershade here. Alright, so this is what we have. I'm gonna go to my place 2D texture here, and right about offset here, I'm gonna set key here, and if I'm right, the key has been set to the first frame. I'm gonna go to something like maybe 100 and maybe 20. Let's go 120. And open up our hypershade again, and let's change the overall value here to something like maybe a 10, and right click, set key. So if I show you the overall result here with the overall timeline here, I'm gonna just scale this down a bit just so you can see. And if I scrub through here, I'm gonna go to my first frame here, and as I go one frame forward, you can see how this is overall reacting. So you can have this kind of pattern going on with the overall fractal noise here, and you can, if you want to do a bit more, what you can do is keyframe your overall rotation as well to give a kind of a really nice and interesting look. So let's animate this rotation as well. I'm gonna go to my first frame here, go to hypershade again, select your place 2D texture here and set key, and I'm gonna go to my last frame here, and let's open up our hypershade again and make this something like maybe a 360 and set key. So I think we are good to go. And from here, I think I've applied the key on the second frame here, so I'm going to quickly delete this, and I'm going to go to my last frame here. Alright, 120 it is, and I'm going to rotate this here, set key. Alright, so that's it. So now we have a pretty interesting thing going on. I'm going to scale this down again to something like, yeah, and let's scrub through. Alright, so there you go. So now you have something like this. So have fun with this, create some amazing stuff with this. You can come up with different type of stuff with this. You can take a different primitive if you are looking for a different kind of approach. Alright guys, so that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. If you create something out of it, send me on my Instagram. I'd love to see your work, and create something different out of it, and try to keep the same concept, same process and everything, but try to create something unique out of it. Alright, so that's it for this one, and I'll see you next time.